This one right here. The boss problem. This one. It's a Tackle Potato video, right? He's a Knicks enjoyer. Dislike. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. He's not a Letty enjoyer. Get out. Eh?
Now, let's be real. Warframe is a power fantasy. You're not just a space ninja. You are a cosmic demigod in a high-speed blender suit. Whether you're
gonna say he hates the game now? Yeah, probably you get some cringe lords, but it's a well-received video. It's an attenuation or against. Damage attenuation in any game is retardation. It does not need to exist as aggressively as it is in Warframe. You can have damage attenuation, but there should be a way to break through it. It should be part of a mechanic, a damage mechanic that you can get through. Let's say you're fighting a boss, like you know, let's bring Elden Ring for example. You have gimmick fights like that stupid waste of time Rykard, right? When you're dealing with damage with your regular weapon, you tickle the enemy, right? And then you use the fucking gimmick weapon. It has a special attack. Boom. Just like in Dark Souls 3, you have Yorm the Giant. And then we bring up Destiny, a game that everybody loves, right? Destiny is the best game in the world, right? You have unstoppable champions. There is that. You use your champion mods against the champion, because if you just deal damage to them, you're tickling them. Like, what is that? Stop it. Oh my god. And then they slap you, right? So then you use the champion mod, like, what the f. Then their real voice comes out. Then you shoot them in the face, deal as much damage, right? If you don't have enough damage, right, you're going to deal, you know, moderate damage to the point where they get that damage attenuation back. And then you go again with a champion mod. But there is an ICD in between the stun, because they have like the recovery that they have to go through. So if you make it a mechanic that players can get through, sure. But if you have damage attenuation and then a health bar that's and has stupid invulnerability phases, come on. It's as bad as Guardian Takedown from Borderlands 3. There's a reason why people did not like Guardian Takedown compared to Maliwan Takedown. Maliwan Takedown was amazing, right? I did that so many times. It was like my favorite thing, and I was blown away that that was a thing in Borderlands. Then Guardian Takedown came in. I was like, cool, this is awesome. So my first time trying it, right, it took like 40 minutes because I was still like trying to figure out what to do here. But when we got to the boss, I'm just like, oh my god. Shoot, invulnerable. Shoot, invulnerable. And you barely do damage. Yo, Straw Hat, thank you so much for that. Welcome back with 2 years. Fat cocking. So yeah, if it's part of mechanic that we can go through, that you can deal with, it's fine. But it as a main thing for so we can't one-shot bosses, stupid. Yo, Teophanes, appreciate that. Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Grenade into smoke with your favorite weapon, or wiping out rooms with whatever broken loadout you're using right now. The game is built to make us feel
yeah, because Warframe isn't. Sorry, I'm pausing. Warframe is an ARPG. Just like any ARPG, you have builds that can clear fast, blah blah, and then you get to a boss. Let's say like a pinnacle boss, blah blah. Boom, you fight it, and the higher you go in terms of its tier, right? The more difficult it becomes, it does more damage. It has another mechanic, but instead of just having stupid damage attenuation, there's mechanics to it. Okay, granted, the Vor fight has mechanics. Are they the best mechanics? No, they're just cringe. It's just dispel, 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 nullify, dispel. It's not special. It's not unique or anything. It's just a bunch of dispel. It's cringe, and then you have to do the little parkour section. I would say that's the hardest part of the entire thing. I have failed that so many times. But the entire fight is just like... Right, you just take Inaros, you take Titania, you go to sleep. It's not that difficult, right? But let's continue.
Stop, well, I fucked that bit up, haven't I? Well, anyway, let's move on, right? Damage attenuation is a mechanic that cuts your damage in real time during boss fights. And it has become the go-to tool by DE for adding challenge, which I'm sure you've noticed. Your build is maxed, your loadout is absolutely cracked, and yet your...
How'd you fix damage attenuation? Simple. Mechanics. Right? Breakthrough mechanics. I've given several examples. Well, I gave it like 4 examples, but you get what I'm saying. That's enough to give you an idea how to like go about this annoyance.
barely registering against a boss with damage attenuation. It's an artificial difficulty implemented instead of mechanics or maybe worthwhile boss engagements, which I'll get to at the end of this video. It has been around for a while, but with the Weaver update, it has been brought more to the surface in a bit of a big way.
Yeah,
so what
more
the hell
apparent.
is damage attenuation? Damage attenuation, or adaptive damage scaling, is not just enemies having more health. It is a system that actively reduces the damage that you can deal, especially if you are hitting too hard, too fast, which isn't a Vin Diesel movie. It first made its way into
Good one.
Warframe with Kuva Liches, then it stuck around for Sentience, Archons, and now with...
Yeah, here. Let me bring back something that DE already has in the game, but they've neglected it for way too long, and it's become completely dead because they're trying to phase everyone away from it, just to make the game new player friendly and welcoming. That they're putting it away like the problem child, called eidolon hunting. Eidolon hunting is the only thing in the game that still has mechanics that are fair. Right? You may not like it, but you have to agree that it has good mechanics that you can actually like. It's very intuitive, I would say. You go outside, you meet some guy going, "Argh!" Just coming out of the water. You shoot your gun. My gun, no worky. Okay, let me go into operator. Oh, health bar go from gray to purple. Let me shoot amp. Now his fucking Synovias are vulnerable, right? It go from gray to yellow. Shoot. Wait, my weapon not doing damage. Do I have the correct damage type or element against it? You don't? Mod for it. Now you shoot it. He goes, ah! He screams. He does a thing. Ah! You take damage. Fuck, what the fuck was that? Then he runs away. Then you realize, oh crap, I have to keep them here. And then cons will be like, you need an eidolon lure, Tenno. You gotta keep them there. And that's it. Charge the lure. You see these little things roaming around, going, ah! You shoot them. Energy goes into the lure. The lure goes from yellow to blue. Right? You stick it into the eidolon's broken leg. Like, why do you have this thing here? Then you shoot his other limbs. Like, ah, why does this thing keep on attaching to me? And then rinse and repeat. That's an eidolon hunt. It's not like the most breakthrough, revolutionary thing in the world. No, it's a simple thing that you can do, very intuitive, and it just worked. A lot of people enjoyed it when it was popular. Right? I was, for one of my favorite activities in Warframe until well, you know what's happening now. We don't touch it anymore because of how shit it is. It's a buggy mess, neglected, not fixed. Just the whole plains of Eidolon. Anyway, I'm ranting. Let us continue with the video.
The hard mode Vor and the fragmented bosses as well. Now the logic makes sense, at least on paper anyway. We had become so powerful in game that bosses were melted before their intro animations even ended. Attenuation was DE's attempt to...
The thing is, you should reward players for actually coming up with a solid loadout to burst through your boss. Have a look at Borderlands. Have a look at Destiny. You know? I mean, Destiny, granted, they do have raids. That's the one thing we have to give Destiny. They actually have dungeons and raids, which is actually good activities. We don't have that in Warframe. And unfortunately, I don't think we ever will.
Preserve some form of pacing, spectacle, and I guess tension that's supposed to go with a boss.
However, the Plains of Eidolon update marked a shift in community mindset by introducing terror lists, featuring multiple large health pools on each weak point. Damage boosting abilities became an important part of efficient hunting teams. While other damage boosting options require more team coordination, a single self-damaging chroma could bypass the weak point damaging portion of the fight in an instant. At its simplest, we do not want our eidolons one-shotted.
Remember when Chroma had Eclipse instead of the current Vex armor? Guys, remember that? Yeah, those days. You can deal with it. Man, shut the fuck up.
But instead of giving us a challenge,
it's not cool.
it made us feel punished.
Damage Attenuation is cringe.
Powerful. because attenuation nullifies build investment. You could form your
I guess if you like getting, you know, the urethra, then fair enough.
and your Warframe 7 times, use the best arcanes, equip synergistic companions, and throw out absolutely insane damage, only to enter a boss fight and feel like you're slapping them with a wet noodle. It is quite demoralizing.
My guy, a wet noodle probably hits harder, let's be honest.
The Araxia fight, however, in the new Spiral, on the other hand, I found to be more fun. It had cool phases and mechanics, and it had, I guess, mobs that were spawning in waves, and what felt like slight damage.
No, see here, let me break it down for you guys. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. Boss fights in Warframe, you know, granted the more popular ones, right? Have you noticed how all of them have a nullifying or magnetic effect? Did you notice that? Did you guys notice that? Notice that? Let's start with the low level one. The reworked boss fights. The one in Venus nullifies your abilities. We go to Plains of Eidolon, magnetic. We go to Prophet Taker, magnetic. We go to... what's that f***er? Tenno. The Mesa bitch. Where you farm Mesa. What was it? Magnetic. Just to get rid of your energy. The 60 Eyes boss. It dispels your abilities. You have the Araxia fight. Nullifies you, dispels your abilities. The recent Vor fight. Nullifies you, dispels your abilities. It's just not creative. At all. Come on, let's have, like, mechanics, all right? Let's have good mechanics. Can we, you know, at least try? Please? Is that hard to ask? I get it, we're too powerful, so you want to take away the power for, you know, a brief moment, but no. The Apex tank, it's so garbage, I forgot it existed. But yes, same thing. And then, oh yeah, there's Toxin. Actually didn't mind the Toxin damage in there. That was just fine. But Damage Attenuation, nullifying, Damage Attenuation, nullifying. I'm like, bro, come. Be creative, dude. It's the same thing over and over. It's as same. Destiny has an issue as well, where every boss fight, guys, who here plays or played Destiny? You played Destiny. How many bosses do you stand on a plate and shoot the head? Or stand in one spot? Guys, are you ready? Hey, what? Put the damn well down. I got it. Hunter, tether the bitch. I got it. Titan, why are you here? Guys, I can do something. Shut the f up. Go switch to a fucking warlock. Come here. Put your shit down. You know? It's literally that. Every fight. That's why I would have to say, like, my favorite raids has to be Vow the Disciple. That was like fighting Rulk. He was active. He was moving. It was such a good fight. I enjoyed it so much. Titan, I have Thunder Crash. Guys, I missed. Who's this motherfucker? Who brought him here? Guys, he's my cousin. He just started the game. What was he doing the entire? He was ad clearing. Do we need an ad clear? Seriously. How many times do you have to bring someone thinking they know they can do the raid and all they do is ad clear? And they pick a fucking Titan? That's Destiny rating for you. Anyway, I digress. Let's carry on.
Attenuation. Meanwhile, the fragmented fight.
Dude, the Hunter has... the Hunter is just like, guys, I'm here. Thank you. Come here. Hunter, what build are you playing? I'm playing Celestial Knight. Great, I love you. You didn't even have to finish the sentence. What are you playing? I'm playing Tether. Oh, good. Sit right there. Warlock, what are you playing? I'm playing Strand. Shut the f up and switch to Well. Okay. And you, shut the f up and switch to the fucking... what was the new super? The one that came in Final Shape. The DR one. I forgot the super. Song of Flame. Yeah, that one. But guys, I'm a type block. Anyway, move on. Let's carry on. Hunters just can do everything, right? I'm not saying Hunter master race, but it's true.
Which closes out the new Davinci cycle is a reused fight, which is just kind of doubled up.
Anyway.
Then there is the Elite Deep Archimedia boss and the Hard Mode Door Challenge, which was just added, which is much higher level and becomes these really drawn out encounters that are, in my opinion, really not enjoyable, which also makes some frames, for whatever reason, borderline useless. Mesa, Atlas, most exalted setups don't target bosses. These encounters feel like they reward cheat.
Yeah, so the thing is with Mesa, apparently people don't know, Mesa doesn't shoot projectile. She does projection damage. What does that mean? Meaning she actually doesn't shoot things out of her guns. Whatever's in her reticle takes damage. But then her weapons scale off gun mods like fire rates, multi-shot, and all that. It's so fucking weird, right? No, she doesn't actually shoot bullets out. It's damage projection.
Or shield gating instead of, I guess, the investment you've put into
Yeah.
the build. If you take the new Vor hard mode, you simply lean into shield gating, ignore your frame's abilities in order to fight Vor to get those solo accolades. But to be fair, we know DE.
That's why she also doesn't benefit from Volt's shields or anything like that.
Didn't just throw attenuation in for shits and giggles. There is a real self-inflicted problem in Warframe with power creep.
Yeah.
Every new weapon or Warframe pushes the ceiling that little bit higher, and without checks, bosses quickly became irrelevant. A well-modded Fel Arcs or whatever primary weapon is your go-to could wipe out those bosses before they would even lift a finger. Now, attenuation is supposed...
Guys, remember when multi-shot used to bypass damage attenuation? Good old days, right? Good old days.
To give these fights room to breathe, to show off animation phases, enemy mechanics, strategic tools, companions, or even your gear items to show those off as well. So in theory, it is a bit of a compromise. You can still dominate normal missions, but bosses, they wanted us to have to think and not just shoot. But the execution kind of makes it feel more like your build is too powerful, so we're going to nerf it mid-fight.
Exactly.
Now, Warframe isn't alone in trying to rein in player power. Other games do this as well. Games with loot, with power scaling, and of course with high-end builds, they face the same core problems.
Yep.
How do you preserve difficulty in a game designed around players getting much stronger? Well, other games have tackled it in a different way, and some might argue that it's maybe...
Can you give examples at least? I mean, I've given several examples, but I want to hear his POV on this. Yeah.
a better way as well. But at the same time, these games don't have the same power scaling that we have in Warframe. If you take
Destiny, perfect. I was going to say one thing before he gets into the Destiny conversation. So have a look at other games. Let's bring up looter shooters, right? I know Warframe is not technically a looter shooter, but it has guns and all that, right? You have Destiny and you have Borderlands. They have a set scaling. So it doesn't have like Warframe scaling, level 9,999, that type of shit. And your like specific setups scale with enemy level, or you have exponential scaling with damage over time or specific builds, right? You can just burst through their health, burst through their shields, armor strip. It has Warframe, I would say, has very interesting damage mechanics, but the way they're implemented in a way with enemy scaling, just like fucking sucks. Right, I would say either have a limit to how much you can go with damage, and how much and mechanics that allow you to bypass that limit in a way that's not too broken but also reasonable. For example, usually if you're hitting something, let's say 100% crit chance, I feel like crit chance should have a cap. Hate me all you want. Red crits are nothing special. Crit chance should have a cap scaling, but then you can have crit damage, which will allow you to multiply your damage even further. There are so many games that cap out the crit chance at 100%, because if you're critting 100% of the time, then you're just doing damage. Then all you have to do is add other multipliers like your base damage, your status, your critical damage, so your damage can scale in a certain way, right? A lot of games do this. And then you have a breakpoint type of damage, where if you shoot weak points, you deal even more damage than you would normally do. And then you have, like, you don't have to agree with me on this, but this is just my view on things. And then you have enemies that will have specific mechanics. And of course, if you break through those mechanics or you deal with those mechanics, you will deal double the damage, or you deal quad the damage. If it's part of the scaling system and the mechanics, then it's all fair. But we just have so much in our fucking arsenal that allows us to do crazy amounts of damage that nothing in the game can survive unless they have damage attenuation. So what's the best way to fix this is rework the damage scaling. But DE won't do that because it's too much work. It requires a lot more time investment. They'll actually have to rework a lot of things. Some people will not like it. Who gives a shit, right? But if they do something like that, the game could be better, right? Power creep is fine if it's to do with like a couple of units. It's fine if 1 or 2 units are very strong and powerful. But then when everything is just too powerful, this is why nowadays I'm just like, it doesn't matter. Use whatever you want. Have fun, right? If you like to play this Warframe, go for it, because anything can kill Steel Path. Anything can go to level 9k. It's like, if everything is special, then nothing is. But then you have Comey and Yareli. They're special in the way that you shouldn't be special, right? That kind of special where you say, just hide in the closet. We have guests, honey. Yeah, just don't come outside. I'll bring you food after.
Destiny, as an example, they have boss fights like
sit on a guys, what was I saying earlier about sitting on a well? Look, he's playing Warlock. He's got his well out.
It's even a Nightfall.
And you're just shooting the face. Oh my god. Oh, I was literally talking about this.
Designed around big health pools, time-sensitive mechanics, or I guess utilizing team buffs in order to burn a boss down faster. So you can still pull off one-shot strats if you're using the right team, but only if your team coordinates, and I guess you earn that window in order to take the boss down. So the difference here is Destiny lets you keep that power. It just demands that you use it in a slightly smarter way.
You know why they weren't doing enough damage? There was no debuffs. What was this hunter doing?
Monster Hunter is another game that will reward precision while not reducing your damage output. The idea with that is that you're going to...
Monster Hunter is a low number scaling game. No, low damage. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a low numbers game, okay? You're not going to see like billions of damage. The highest you will see is like 2,000 damage. And that's, of course, with the best weapon in the game, Charge Blade. You know, but you know what I'm saying?
The hit bosses or monsters in a certain area because that's where their weaknesses are going to be, or whether it's on the head or on the tail. They also have resistances to certain elements which they're going to be weaker to. So damage attack.
I would say in all the video games, Monster Hunter is like one of the most balanced games in terms of mechanics and weapons, like weapon mechanics and damage mechanics, because you have monsters who are weak to a certain elemental type, weapons that are able to bypass certain things. Like, every weapon is good, but it depends on how you use it and with what build you're using it against the monster. That's the best part of Monster Hunter. It allows you to like switch between things and fight a monster, you know, take full advantage of the build just to get that monster down as fast as possible. Yeah, exactly. But then it's just done by Capcom. They don't know how to like... I would say like they know how to design core mechanics, but when it comes to like basic quality of life, that doesn't exist.
Attenuation doesn't really exist in Monster Hunter either. If you can burst a boss down in 5 minutes, they allow you...
Like here, this is a perfect example of...
Monster Hunter either. If you can burst a...
Like this guy. What's his name? Gravios? I forget his name. He's cringe. So this guy, he has tough outer skin, right? And then when you get close to him, he does these fire farts and everything, like fire breaths. His weak part is his belly. So you have to get up close and personal. Like, you see that little belly right there? You go up there, right? He's like, mother. He's dead. But if you try to attack anywhere else, well, you're not going to be doing the damage. Your weapon will bounce off and all that.
Boss down in 5 minutes. They allow you to do it.
Yeah, and he's very weak to water. Exactly.
Points, but also getting your timing right.
Here you go. Like that's Chatacabra. His fucking tongue is weak. And his underbelly is also weak. Generally, he's weak, but I'm just saying.
Hitting weak points, but also...
And the Chematrice, the tail is the weak point.
Getting your timing right in order to hit those weak points and get the most out of your damage output. Then I guess there is another looter, which is the Division 2, a game that is notorious for having, I guess, bullet spongy enemies. But it kind of avoids attenuation as well by using enemies.
And then fuck the Rathlos, garbage enemy.
Density, armor systems, and I guess chaos by having more and more enemies spawn in and you having to deal with multiple of those while also having the boss in the mix as well. Bosses aren't immune to damage, they're just hard to kill because they are surrounded by so many different threats or even hazards from the environment. Enemies have layered armor.
Yeah, using the environment to advantage. I don't see this I don't see this in games as much. Though the one game where this was like so apparent was Baldur's Gate 3. You seen that? You can pretty much do anything. Like, oh wait, we're surrounded by oil? I'm using a fire spell? You just burn enemies. You can kill enemies without environmental hazards. It's so good. I wish more games use that.
You may encountered enemies that have immune states while also having, like I said, multiple different hazards.
Holy, he's doing 100k damage per shot.
On some of the enemies that spawn in with them as well, those minions. So your damage still counts. You will still throw out damage in the hundreds of thousands or even more. It's been a while since I've played Division, but I know you could deal a lot of damage.
Yeah.
So the difference again is they're not suppressing your damage output. Again, these are just rough examples. Where other games will scale up the challenge through design, Warframe kind of scales down your power, which definitely creates a disconnect within the community. You don't feel smarter or better for overcoming the fight. It just feels like it was drawn out.
That's the thing. Thank you. Thank you. That's the one thing that I love. This is why Souls games have ruined gaming for me. I've gotten to the point where I play Souls games to relax. I'm cooked at this point. It's all about you overcoming the challenge with the tools you have and your skill. Get good or mauled trying. That's it. Yeah. My first thing, like let's talk about like in Black Myth Wukong, right? Chapter 2 boss, you know, the guy with the winds. Apparently I was supposed to use an item. I didn't do it. It was supposed to make it easier. I killed him without the item. The centipede boss in chapter 4, killed him without using the item. Right? Erlang Shang, killed him without using the fan. I think. Did I kill him without using a fan? I don't know. We'll see. Talk about it. All those things, right? You have the tools to make the fight easier, but you can make the fight more difficult for yourself by just, you know, overcoming it with your skill, your fucking stubbornness. That's what I am. I'm very stubborn, right? I will do it until I do it, until I like overcome the challenge. How's his shield recharging fast? He has Aegis. He has probably a shield regen build, and he has Vazarin.
Power was muted and you just wanted to get through it and get to the end. So it's not really enjoyable for the most part when you come up against a high level enemy in particular. Sorry, most of this is in relation to high level bosses with damage attenuation. And that's definitely where the frustration is coming from. Now, of course, there's no point in me, I guess, complaining about damage attenuation without giving some kind of how would you fix it. And you guys can let me know in the comment section below how you would like to see it fixed. We can all be armchair devs. We're not devs. The guys at DE, I'm sure, know much better than we do. But some rough ideas could be to only activate attenuation during specific boss moments, not entirely from the start. You could then disable attenuation by completing challenges within the room, within the boss arena.
Wow. How easy was that? Thank you.
Flicking switches.
Something I was just talking about. Adding a mechanic to bypass the attenuation. Oh my god. It's like the most obvious thing.
Elite mobs, hitting a boss's weak point could turn off attenuation.
Yeah.
They could remove attenuation altogether and have boss fight.
Here we go. Mechanic. Games that use it. Why it's great. Phase fights. True. Elden Ring. So why is this game over here in front of Elden Ring? Why is this even part of the Get this Final Fantasy garbage out of here, all right? If you want an actual good MMO, go play Guild Wars 2. Final Fantasy. Okay, team buff, debuff rotation. So what here, let me translate this part right here, okay? Well, and your tether. Jesus. Well and tether. My god. Well and tether. There we go. Or tractor. True. Or you run a tractor cannon. Parry encounters. Sekiro or Dark Souls. Okay, yeah. Let's see here. Build specific interactions. Monster Hunter. Good shit, good shit. Add waves plus main combo. Destiny Division. Or like any MMO that does this. Visible progress. True. Here's another thing. Monster Hunter does this well. Like, good thing you brought Monster Hunter. So if you're fighting a monster in Monster Hunter, you do realize, right? There is no health bar, but you can tell you're hurting the monster, right? You can see visible wounds on the monster. The monster starts drooling, panting. They lose a limb, you know? Like, the mechanics change. So when you break off a tail of let's say, a monster, their mechanics change. You break off a horn, instead of them doing like a ramming attack, whatever, with their horns, they do a different attack. You cut off their wings, like you shred their wings. They can't fly anymore. That's such a good thing, but it requires them to do work. And unfortunately, I'm gonna be, of course, labeled as a hater as always. DE likes to do band-aid fixes. Case in point with Excalibur Umbra and the augment, you know. That's a prime example of band-aid fix. Instead of fixing the bug with Umbra, put that. Yeah, guys, you don't have to deal with a bug anymore. Just use this augment. God damn it.
It's multi-phased, so that minions would spawn in one of the phases while the boss is out of the room. They could have a boss fight, which makes the most out of our parkour. Maybe have it a bullet hell boss fight, something along the lines of Hyperion in Returnal. You could have a boss arena where you have to manage buffs, and you have to pick up a buff in order to deal the most amount of damage to that boss as you possibly can.
Yes.
You could have an arena with collapsing elements like platforms, like fire zones, like hazards.
He just mentioned Voltan from Lost Ark. Here's another. Okay, Lost Ark again. I know it's just pay to win garbage. But I played the MMO. But I'll say one thing: Lost Ark has amazing boss fights and amazing interactions with mechanics. So he was just talking about like a platform that breaks and everything. But he's playing a Berserker, garbage class. Imagine playing Berserker. I'm playing Scrapper, best class in the game. So you see how they're on a platform, and this platform begins to like change and break, right? He's going to target one person, and anyone that's in the yellow, they will die, all right? And see how the platform just begins to break over time. So many danger zones just to avoid those. And when you're near the end, right, you just have a small area to deal with. See that mechanic that you had to deal with on a larger platform? Now it's smaller. It's shrunk. It's even more dangerous. Yeah, something like that, right?
Shifting terrain, kind of like what you might find in Elden Ring. There's a lot of different ways you can make a boss fight enjoyable, and Attenuation clearly isn't doing it.
It's not.
The community. That doesn't mean that they have to completely remove Attenuation, but rethink it, definitely. Because players pick up Warframe to feel strong. They want to earn that strength through builds, through testing those builds, and of course time spent playing the game, and I guess picking up more and more weapons. And
games that respect your time. Guys, play Elden Ring.
More forma, and I guess
go play Elden Ring.
Their builds up to deal that kinds of damage. But Attenuation makes it feel like...
You haven't played Elden Ring? Go play Elden Ring.
...against the boss fights, which are supposed to be the pinnacle of some of the events in the game. So we've...
Coordination with teammates. Yeah, the problem with Warframe is that there's no team activity. That's long gone. Everything is done solo, and people want to do things solo. They want to feel special about themselves, so they always do things solo. And when you coordinate with someone, it's mostly going to be with your friends. Because if you try to coordinate with like randos, you have people who are entitled, who think they're like the best. Like, man, I don't want to do your setup. I'll do this thing, blah, blah. And then they up the run for everyone else. You said with Lost Ark? Yeah, apparently now there's like solo modes for everything because, again, just like every MMO, just like here's another thing with team activity. You're going to have people who want to be carried. And what does that lead to? It's going to lead to gatekeeping. And then people are going to bitch about gatekeeping. So you can never please everyone, right? Gatekeeping, it's essential, right? But if there is a player gatekeeping, then it's bad, all right? But if there is in-game gatekeeping by the game itself, where you need a certain gear score to apply to enter this dungeon or whatever, sure. But then you also have to, I would say, like they have to do a specific challenge or whatever to be eligible to enter the dungeon and raid. Because artificial gatekeeping through your kill proof and all that, it's gonna hold a lot of people back, and they're not gonna be able to learn unless they pay someone, you know, of course, in-game. You know, like that's how you sell raids and everything. You pay someone, so you watch, you look, whatever, and boom. Like in Guild Wars 2, I faked my way into every raid until I became really good at those raids, till I started hosting them myself. And I was the one doing the gatekeeping, right? When you faked kill proof, yeah, those days. Now you can't fake kill proof anymore. But you're gonna have to do some things to be able to enter the raid. Otherwise, well, you're shit out of luck. If there's gonna be group activities, there has to be some sort of filter for people to join. Another reason why people there is gatekeeping is people don't want to waste their time doing something that they know they can finish within a short amount of time. Here, let me put this into an example that I've already put in that I've already given quite a lot of times. Imagine you work a job, right? You come back home, you want to chill, you want to play your game, to relax. So you boot up the game with your boys and everything. You get on Discord. Oh, but one of your boys is late. They can't make it. They got a life too. They're with their girl or they're with their family, blah, blah. So you're missing one guy. So what do you do when you're missing that one guy? You recruit that one guy. Then boom, you recruit and you're asking for specific things. You need to be this class because we're missing this class. Our boy was playing that class and all of us, we have our set class and everything. This one class that we want to get is an easy class. Anyone can play this, right? It's free. So, but you need to know the mechanics. You need to know this specific interaction because we want someone to we can rely on. Because if you fuck up, then that makes the entire encounter even longer than it should be. And then you're gonna get some guy. Oh, guys, it's my first time. Can I join? Like, no, we don't want to join. Then guess what he's going to say? You guys are dicks. You don't want to invite me. It's my first time. How am I going to learn? See, you guys, both of you can be right. But unfortunately, you have to see the other side. People don't want to waste their time on someone who's completely new, who they have to waste their time teaching when they only have a limited amount of time to play in the day. So they want to get someone in who knows what they're doing, finish the raid, go. Deal with their real life shit. Unfortunately, this is the reason why gatekeeping exists, right? And why team mechanics or team play is going to suffer in Warframe, because this also was happening in eidolon hunts. People who just wanted to get carried.
Earned our power, let us keep that power, and when we break a boss fight wide open, let that be the moment where we've earned the right to deal as much damage to the boss as you possibly can, not cheesing a system just to make it feel effective or just to prolong that fight to make it feel like it's lasting that little bit longer. But again, this is of course just my opinion. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of attenuation. Be honest. Let me know how you would like to see some of these boss fights made more enjoyable, because attenuation clearly isn't doing it.
Yeah.
Have a great day. Have a great week. And as always, thanks for watching.
Yeah, it's a valid video. Valid point. I spoke about damage attenuation quite a bit as well. Cool for the first few times that most of the bosses kill. Yeah, the thing is, in Warframe, another thing that you have to realize in Warframe is the loot that you get from these fights. It's not special. It's not going to do anything for you, because you have to realize the amount of work that you had to put in to kill this boss, and then for them to return you with shit loot that you could have gotten already. It's like, why even do it in the first place? Prime example, people who have an optimized build for credit farming, let's say in Profit Taker, they don't necessarily need those credits anymore, unless they're always gambling with mods and leveling up mods. Sure, that's the only time where I would say, yeah, you need that. Because for those who don't know, selling max rank mods is actually Gigaplat. I mean, didn't DE do a good job with the 3 boss fights with the Drifter quest? Are you talking about Archon hunts? See, here, I'll tell you why Archon hunts in the actual new war felt good than the actual Archon hunts when you fought them. Because of our limited loadout. They were threatening. Because if you up, you would die, you would have to reset, blah, blah, blah. They felt like something you had to deal with in a specific way. Your thought process changed because you're not using your Warframe anymore. You were a drifter. You're pretty much mortal. And there were gods. And you had to use your stupid little human brain to fight against this big guy. Exactly. And then, here, tell me you noticed this. Once we finished the whole Drifter encounter, and then when we got access to our Warframes again, and then we fought the final Archon, How underwhelming was that? How disappointing and underwhelming was that? I was just like, bro, what the fuck? We were struggling. We were actually doing our best trying to kill these Archons with our Drifter. And then once we got our Warframe, like, oh no. This is how they're gonna feel like when we actually fight them. And when they were re-released as a weekly challenge, guess what the Archons had? Shit ton of damage attenuation. And what did people do? They found ways to bypass that damage attenuation with, you know, multi-shot and all that type of shit, because multi-shot used to bypass damage attenuation. Multiple pellets, they'll have their own instance of damage. If there is no mechanic to deal with and it's just bullet sponges, you're gonna get tired, you're gonna get bored of it. You're gonna feel like the game is disrespecting you as a player because you put in all this work and effort, you gotta build together, and then it's like, huh, fuck your damage. Same thing with these randomized loadouts in EDN, ETA. It's just like, bro. Then they give you like these shit modifiers. It's just not fun, you know? This is why you play Souls games. You have a good time there.